Chapter 1 The Laugh Heard Around the Galaxy. The lecture hall was silent, eerily silent, except for the faint hum of translation devices. Rows of alien students, scaled, feathered, and chitin-plated, leaned forward on their benches. On the dais stood Professor Clicktatch, a tall insectoid scholar whose mandibles clicked nervously. He raised one spindly limb, and the lights dimmed. "Today," he rasped, "we confront the sounds of predators." A low vibration rolled through the chamber speakers. The first recording was a void panther's growl. It slithered across the room like smoke, deep and resonant, making stomachs churn. Several students flinched. One lizard-skinned cadet hissed and covered his ears. At the back of the hall, a human named Alex Mercer tilted his head, listening as though to an old playlist. His lips curved in a faint, amused smile. Clicktatch paused. "This growl paralyzes most prey species. Yet Terran." "Mr. Mercer, you seem unconcerned." Alex shrugged, his voice casual. "Honestly? Sounds like my neighbor's dog when the mail arrives." A ripple of nervous laughter shot across the room. Aliens exchanged uneasy glances. Clicktatch twitched an antenna, unsettled. The next sound, a death leech's screech, high-pitched enough to rattle the inner ear. One avian student fainted on the spot. Alex winced slightly, then chuckled. "Yeah, that's my alarm clock. Pretty accurate." Clicktatch's mandibles clacked in irritation. "Humans are curious creatures. Perhaps the next specimen will silence your humor." He activated the next file. The speakers emitted a low-frequency rumble, followed by a roar so raw and violent it shook dust from the ceiling beams. Students recoiled, claws scraping against desks. Some hissed. Others ducked instinctively, pupils shrinking. The roar didn't just echo, it dominated. Alex Mercer leaned back in his seat. His eyes lit with something between nostalgia and amusement. Then, without hesitation, he said, "That's just my mom." The hall froze. Every alien stared, wide-eyed, not sure if they'd misheard the translator. "What did you say?" whispered a reptilian cadet, his frill quivering. Alex smiled warmly, as if explaining a joke to friends. "Yeah, my mom. That's about how she sounds when she finds out I haven't done the dishes." Confusion exploded across the room. Some students muttered in their own languages, others leaned away from him as though proximity itself was dangerous. Clicktatch clicked his mandibles furiously. "Are you suggesting your progenitor is a creature of such magnitude?" "Creature?" Alex raised his eyebrows. "No, she's a librarian. But you try losing one of her books, and you'll hear that exact roar." A strangled laugh escaped a feathered student before he quickly stifled it. The hall devolved into whispers, rumors bubbling instantly. Humans raise predators as parents. Are their families dangerous? What manner of species laughs at extinction-level roars? Clicktatch rapped the console, restoring silence. His compound eyes narrowed on Alex. "This reaction is statistically aberrant. You do not fear. You mock. Explain yourself." Alex tilted his head. "Professor, where I come from, fear's sort of background noise. We live with storms, quakes, wild animals, traffic jams, you name it. If you flinch at every sound, you don't get anything done. So we laugh. Keeps the nerves steady." The insectoid stiffened. "Laughing in the presence of predators is not adaptive." "Funny thing," Alex replied, leaning forward, "on Earth, it is." Silence stretched, heavy with unease. From the front row, a crystalline student raised a trembling appendage. "Terran Mercer, did your species create that roar?" Alex smirked. "Not exactly. But let's just say we've had practice dealing with things that make that sound." The crystalline student shivered audibly, glass edges rattling. Click-Tatch cut the feed abruptly. That concludes the demonstration. Class dismissed. The students poured out, buzzing with speculation. But the alien whispers weren't about predator biology anymore, they were about humans. Outside the hall, 2 alien cadets lingered. A scaled one hissed, "Did you see his face?" He looked pleased. The avian beside him rustled feathers nervously. They say humans descend from predators. Apex predators. What if that roar was an ancestor? Behind them, Alex strolled by casually, hands in his pockets. He smiled. Gossip travels fast, huh? Both aliens froze. Alex stopped, gave them a polite nod, and walked on. But his smile lingered long after he'd left the corridor. That evening in the Academy Commons, the rumor had already metastasized into legend. Over dinner, alien cadets traded stories that humans raised offspring by exposing them to predators, that Terran parents could roar enemies into submission, that laughter was a threat display. At a corner table, Alex sipped a steaming mug of coffee, brown liquid so bitter most aliens avoided sitting near it. He listened, amused, to the tales twisting further. A timid insectoid finally approached. "Mercer, forgive the inquiry, but is it true your mother consumes such predators?" Alex nearly choked on his drink, then grinned. "Depends on how you define consume. She makes a mean barbecue." The insectoid sculled backward, horrified. Across the hall, more whispers. More fear. Alex sipped again, eyes scanning the commons, his mind quietly cataloging every exit, every security camera, every nervous glance. He smiled softly to himself, as if it were all part of a private joke. Later that night, Professor Click-Tatch composed a report. His mandibles clicked furiously over the console. Asterisk observation: human subject Mercer displays anomalous response patterns to predator stimuli. Instead of fear, he substitutes humor. Possible explanations: 1. Pathological denial, 2. Psychological adaptation, 3. Cultural conditioning from a predatory heritage. Asterisk. He hesitated before typing the next line. Asterisk recommendation: monitor closely. Potential threat. Asterisk. Alex Mercer lay awake in his quarters, hands folded behind his head. The stars glittered outside his viewport. He let the silence stretch, then muttered under his breath, amused. Mom would have loved that roar. And he laughed, quiet, sharp, and utterly calm. Chapter 2, The Polite Predator. By morning, the rumor had outgrown the classroom. The Academy mess hall buzzed with speculation, each version of the story wilder than the last. Some whispered that humans raised children among predators, others claimed the roar belonged to Alex's actual parent. A few insisted Earth itself was a giant hunting ground where the weak didn't survive. Alex Mercer sat at his usual table, eating something no one else touched, eggs, still steaming, doused in hot sauce. The sulfuric scent alone had driven 2 crystalline cadets to the opposite corner. Across the room, 3 alien students huddled close, whispering. Their voices carried just enough to reach Alex's ears. He said it was his mother. No parent sounds like that. Unless his species uses vocal intimidation for family discipline. Alex hid a smile behind his fork. The whispers stopped when a tall reptilian cadet slammed his tray down across from him. Yellow eyes narrowed. His name was Darvek, one of the Academy's proudest warriors in training. "You mock what terrifies us," Darvek said flatly. "Why?" Alex cut another piece of egg. "Because fear's like cholesterol. If you let too much build up, you'll have a heart attack." He chewed, unbothered. Darvek's claws tapped against the table. "Do not play games." That sound made half this Academy flinch. "You laughed." Alex set down his fork, finally meeting the reptile's gaze. We laugh because we've already met worse. You flinch because you haven't. The table fell quiet. Other students leaned in, eavesdropping. Darvek bristled. Worse? Than the roar of a primordial beast? Alex's voice softened, almost apologetic. You don't want to know. The vagueness unsettled the crowd more than any answer. Darvek finally pushed back from the table, muttering something in his own language that sounded like a curse. Alex picked up his fork again. Nice talk. Later, in xenopsychology class, Professor Rill, a long-necked avian with silver feathers, decided to address the spreading hysteria. Students, she said, her voice smooth but clipped, humans appear unorthodox. They use humor where others show fear. This does not make them monsters. It is a cultural quirk, nothing more. A tentacled student raised a limb. Then why do their jokes feel like veiled warnings? Rill hesitated, searching for a diplomatic answer. Alex, seated at the back, raised his hand. Professor? I can help. She blinked, cautious. Proceed, Mr. Mercer. Alex stood, adjusting his uniform casually. Back home, we've got a saying, if you can laugh at it, you can live through it, that's all. We make fun of storms, predators, even death. Keeps us sane. Murmurs spread, but eyes lingered on him. Rill gave a relieved nod. You see? Adaptation, not aggression. Alex smiled politely, sat down, and whispered just loud enough for the nearest aliens to hear. Of course, sometimes the joke's the warning too. The whispers flared all over again. That evening, Alex found himself cornered in the library by a cluster of curious students. A crystalline scholar spoke first, her voice ringing like glass chimes. Human Mercer, your people, are you truly predators? Alex leaned against the shelf, thoughtful. Predators? Not exactly. Survivors? Absolutely. Another asked, trembling, but your species, how do you endure such horrors without losing minds? Coffee, Alex said without hesitation. Blank stares. It's a drink, he explained. Tastes terrible, makes your heart race, keeps you awake at night. We love it. The group exchanged glances. One finally whispered, they poison themselves for stamina. Alex grinned. Poison's a strong word. We just build tolerance. He let that hang for a beat before strolling out, leaving the rumor to grow legs on its own. Meanwhile, the faculty convened in private. Clicktatch, Rill, and two others argued over the Terran problem. Clicktatch slammed a claw on the table. He mocked the archive. That roar should have reduced him to trembling. Instead, he trivialized it. Such composure is unnatural. Rill countered, it is adaptation, not defiance. Humans survived a harsh world. Humor is a shield. Or mask, Clicktatch shot back. And behind masks are teeth. The room fell silent at that remark. Back in his dorm, Alex reviewed a small datapad. Lines of code scrolled past, not academy coursework but encrypted reports. He logged observations of every alien he'd encountered, species strengths, reflex times, emotional triggers. His tone remained professional, but there was a playful edge to his notes. Asterisk Darvek, proud, impulsive. Roars louder than his bite. Clicktatch, twitchy. Relies on authority more than claws. General student body, responds strongly to ambiguity. Fear thrives in silence, asterisk. Alex saved the file, leaned back, and smirked. They think it's just jokes, he murmured. Good. The following day, the Academy hosted a cultural exchange showcase. Each species presented something unique, songs, art, combat demonstrations. When it came time for the human presentation, all eyes turned to Alex. He walked to the stage, empty-handed. "I didn't bring artifacts," he said lightly. "But I can give you something better, a story." The crowd quieted. "It's about a time we thought the world was ending. Sky darkened, fire fell, oceans boiled. Almost everything died. But not us." He paused, scanning faces. "We crawled out of the ashes, laughed at the darkness, and kept going. Because that's what we do." No one spoke. The silence stretched until finally a trembling voice asked, "What was the creature that ended your world?" Alex gave a small, knowing smile. "We call it an asteroid." Confusion rippled across the audience. "An inanimate rock? Entire ecosystems destroyed by chance, and humans live through it?" Alex stepped down from the stage. "That's our culture. We laugh, because the alternative is giving up. And giving up? That's not in our nature." He returned to his seat, leaving a stunned silence in his wake. That night, the whispers grew sharper. The roar story had been strange enough, but the asteroid revelation painted humans as something far worse, not predators by design, but survivors by necessity. To aliens who feared shadows and screams, the idea of enduring planetary extinction was unthinkable. To humans, it was Tuesday history class. And at the center of it all was Alex Mercer, smiling, joking, and politely feeding the galaxy's unease one quip at a time. Chapter 3, When the Mask Slips. The summons arrived at dawn. A neat line of text scrolled across Alex Mercer's datapad. "Report to Council Chamber." Mandatory. Alex exhaled slowly, setting down his half-finished coffee. He'd been waiting for this. The chamber was carved into the Academy's central spire, high windows flooding it with pale starlight. At the center stood a crescent table where 5 senior faculty members sat, Click-Tatch the insectoid, Rel the avian, and 3 others who rarely left their offices. Their eyes fixed on him with the weight of a tribunal. Alex strolled in calmly, hands clasped behind his back. "Morning. Hope this isn't about my library late fees." No one laughed. Click-Tatch's mandibles clicked sharply. "Enough games. You will explain." "Explain what, exactly?" "The roar," Rel said, voice steady but uneasy. "Your dismissal of it. The story since the asteroid tale. You unsettle this academy." Alex tilted his head. "I thought this place was about learning. Isn't unsettling part of the process?" A crystalline counselor leaned forward, facets glittering. "What are humans, truly?" Alex paused, then offered a polite smile. "Complicated." The silence stretched, heavy, suffocating. Click-Tatch activated a console. The chamber's walls shimmered, projecting a simulated environment, a dense jungle under red light. From the trees came the hiss of unseen predators. "This," Click-Tatch declared, "is the Groth hunting ground. Even veteran warriors hesitate here. Survive 10 minutes, and perhaps we will believe your bravado is harmless." Alex arched a brow. "Field trip already? Should have packed snacks." The simulation solidified around him. Vines coiled from digital trees, shadows slithered, eyes glowed. A guttural snarl rose from the underbrush. Alex didn't flinch. Instead, he crouched, plucked up a stick, and twirled it in his hand. "Neat graphics. You guys run this on ultra settings?" The first beast lunged, a hulking quadruped with bone-plated shoulders. Alex sidestepped smoothly, jamming the stick into its throat. It convulsed and vanished into pixels. Gasps echoed from the council seats. Another predator dropped from above. Alex rolled, grabbed a vine, and swung upward. As it snapped at empty air, he landed lightly on its back and delivered a sharp twist. The creature burst into fragments. He dusted his hands. Is this supposed to be hard? Click-Tatch's mandibles twitched. Increased difficulty. The environment shifted. Now 3 predators circled, eyes glowing, teeth bared. Alex exhaled through his nose, then smiled faintly. You want strategy or brutality? Survive, Click-Tatch hissed. Alex crouched, studied the terrain, then snapped 2 vines loose. In 30 seconds he'd rigged a tripline between 2 trees. He picked up another stick, broke it into a crude spear, and whistled. The beasts charged. One fell into the trap, tumbling hard. Alex drove the spear into its skull, spun, and shoved the second into the pit. The third leapt. Alex sidestepped, shoved its momentum forward, and let it break its own neck on a rock. The forest dissolved. Silence reigned. Alex dusted his palms again. 10 minutes? That took 2. The council stared. Finally, Rel whispered, How? Alex looked at her, eyes calm, voice even. Where I come from, improvisation isn't optional. You run, you adapt, or you die. Sometimes all 3 at once. Click-Tatch's tone sharpened. You treat this as jest. Yet you kill without hesitation. Alex leaned forward, his polite smile still fixed. No. I survive without hesitation. Killing's just the byproduct. The crystalline counselor shifted uneasily. Do you expect us to believe all humans act this way? Alex chuckled. No, no. Most of us? We're friendly. Hospitable. We'll share food, teach you music, crack bad jokes. But push too far, his eyes hardened for a split second, sharp as broken glass. You'll meet the other side. The council recoiled slightly at the change in tone. Rel, feathers ruffled, tried to recover. Then answer this. Why laugh at danger? Why turn terror into comedy? Alex's expression softened again, mask slipping back into place. Because if you don't laugh, you freeze. If you freeze, you're dead. Jokes aren't weakness. They're camouflage. They buy us time. Click-Tatch snapped, time for what? Alex held his gaze. For whatever we need. The words lingered like a shadow across the chamber. When the session ended, Alex walked out under dozens of stares. Whispers followed him down the corridor. Some were frightened, some curious, some awed. None dared stop him. Back in his quarters, he composed another report. His notes were blunt, tactical. Asterisk Council reacts poorly to ambiguity. Avian Professor sympathetic but cautious. Insectoid overly aggressive, possible fracture point. Simulation combat weak compared to real environments. Conclusion, Academy security protocols exploitable, asterisk. He sent the encrypted file, then leaned back with a faint smile. They wanted the mask to slip, he murmured. Careful what you wish for. That night, in the mess hall, Darvek the reptilian cornered him again. You toy with them, Darvek growled. With all of us? I see it now. You are not just another student. Alex stirred his coffee, calm as ever. Took you long enough. Darvek slammed a clawed hand on the table. What are you planning? Alex's eyes lifted, bright but dangerous. Relax, Darvek. If I were planning something, you wouldn't know until it was already over. The reptile froze, unsettled by the smooth delivery, the casual confidence. Alex sipped his coffee. See? That's the part that scares you. Not what I said. How easily I said it. Darvek backed away slowly, muttering under his breath. Alex finished his drink, set the mug down, and smiled to himself. Polite, charming, harmless. That's the story they want to believe, he said softly. But every smile hides teeth. Chapter 4, The Smile of a Predator. The academy fractured within days. Whispers had turned into shouts, and shouts into meetings behind closed doors. Some species argued for immediate expulsion of the human. Others insisted on diplomacy. A few quietly suggested allying with Earth before it was too late. Hallways once filled with casual chatter now throbbed with unease. Students shifted aside when Alex passed. Professors lowered their voices when his name arose. He moved through it all with the same calm expression, hands in pockets, smile soft, as though none of it mattered. Inside, he catalogued everything. The council reconvened in emergency session. Click-Tatch's voice rasped with agitation. He destabilizes the academy. This is no exchange student, he is reconnaissance. Rill fluffed her feathers uneasily. Evidence is circumstantial. Circumstance does not improvise weapons in seconds, Click-Tatch snapped. Circumstance does not twist fear into laughter. He observes us, tests us, reports on us. That is not cultural curiosity. That is strategy. No one spoke to contradict him. That night, an extremist faction of students tried to act where the council hesitated. Darvik led them, convinced he was defending the academy. They waited in the commons after hours, weapons set to stun. Alex walked in, carrying a steaming mug. He stopped at the sight of 6 armed cadets blocking the exits. Darvik stepped forward, voice low. "This ends tonight." Alex sighed. "Really? While I'm holding coffee? That's just rude." They closed in. Alex set the mug down on a table, almost reverently. "Let's keep this civilized." The first cadet lunged. Alex sidestepped, hooked his leg, and sent him sprawling. A second swung a baton. Alex twisted the arm, flipped the weapon, and used it to sweep 2 more off balance. Darvik roared, claws flashing. Alex ducked, moved behind him, and spoke into his ear. "Nice formation. Shame about your left flank." Darvik spun, but too late. His squad was already down, groaning on the floor. Alex released him gently, picked up his mug, and sipped. "See? Civilized." Darvik stared, trembling with fury and confusion. "Why play with us? Why not finish it?" Alex's smile was calm, almost kind. "Because I don't need to. You already proved my point." The next day, the academy broadcast Alex's actions across the campus. What the council meant as condemnation had the opposite effect. To some, he was terrifying. To others, awe-inspiring. A single unarmed human dismantling 6 trained cadets with ease, while sipping coffee. The myth grew larger. And then the real ships arrived. Not in secret, not cloaked, simply sliding into orbit above the academy with quiet confidence. Human vessels, compact and unadorned, bearing the insignia of the Terran Expeditionary Corps. Panic swept the academy. Click-Tatch stormed into the council chamber. "This is invasion." Rill's feathers bristled. No shots fired. No demands issued. The crystalline counselor's voice rang like breaking glass. Worse. They simply wait. As if certain they already won. The council summoned Alex once more. This time, the chamber was not calm. Accusations flew, voices cracked, claws scraped against tables. Click-Tatch slammed his limbs. "Speak truth. Why are your ships here?" Alex entered slowly, smiling politely. He looked at each counselor, then clasped his hands behind his back. Observation complete. Collection phase over. Time for next steps. "You admit it?" Rill asked, feathers trembling. "Why hide it?" Alex said softly. You already know. Click-Tatch hissed. You lured us into exposing weakness. Alex met his glare evenly. No. You did that yourselves. I just gave you the push. The chamber shook with angry murmurs. Alex raised a hand, voice calm but cutting. Let me explain the human way. We smile first. We share meals, stories, jokes. We give peace every chance to work. But peace, for us, is built on readiness. On watching. On cataloging. On knowing exactly what the other side fears most. He let the words sink in. Rill whispered, almost to herself, predators hiding in plain sight. Alex shook his head. No. Survivors. Apex survivors. We don't pick fights. But if one comes, his smile sharpened. We finish them. The council sat frozen. Click-Tatch tried to speak but his mandibles clattered soundlessly. Alex softened his tone. You still misunderstand. We didn't come here to conquer. We came to prepare. Because sooner or later, someone else out there will try. And when they do, you'll want us on your side. The crystalline counselor asked, voice faint, and if we refuse? Alex leaned closer, his smile unwavering. Then you won't hear us coming. That evening, the academy remained in chaos. Some species drafted immediate alliances with humanity. Others began evacuation. A few plotted desperate resistance. Alex strolled through the corridors, unhurried, nodding politely to those who flinched out of his way. His datapad pinged, a secure message from orbit. Asterisk mission successful. Extraction optional. Fear achieved, asterisk. He closed the pad, slipped it into his pocket, and chuckled quietly. Later, as he passed the commons, he heard a sound over the intercom, one of the predator roars from the archive. The system had glitched, looping it. Students ducked under tables, eyes wide, claws clutching at nothing. A young avian clutched at his wingmate. What is that? What is coming? Alex paused, listening. The roar echoed again, deep, primal, terrifying. He smiled faintly. Relax, he said, his voice carrying through the room. That's just my mom. No one laughed. But everyone remembered.